My name is Jillian Perrick, and I'm a lover of all things orange chocolate. Think One Tree Hill is way better than the OC. And as a person who stutters, I hope to one day inspire women with invisible disabilities to overcome their limiting beliefs and start the business of their dreams, just like I did. I'm a mindset coach specializing in imposter syndrome, helping women beat their inner imposter using neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, and time techniques. And this is the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. This podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneurial woman trying to navigate the online space with a lot of passion and a lot of uncertainty. If you feel like your ideas are unoriginal, that your message isn't necessary or important, or like you're a complete and total fraud, then you've come to the right place. This podcast will take you from imposter to empowered with ninja-like brain hacks, easy to implement strategies, and uplifting real talk to make you feel like everything you want is in reach. Let's get started, girlfriend. Hey everybody, welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. And if you are a religious Fite podcast listener and you don't have the From Imposter to Empowered course, then what are you doing? This is my signature course that will help you overcome your imposter syndrome and attract everything you want in your life, because let me tell you this. You have a bunch of beliefs and things about yourself that you are holding deep in your subconscious. I have an Instagram post about this. It's like a picture of like an iceberg. I love my Titanic, guys, so that's where it came from. But the iceberg was basically like on top is your conscious mind, and that is the thought of I'm not good enough or I'm not an expert. And then below it, under the surface, is all those subconscious beliefs that you have and that you hold from experiences from your childhood or past experiences or past trauma, societal influences, cultural norms, all those things that are affecting your ability to really attract what you want. Because when you clear that bullshit, you allow yourself to be an energetic channel to more high vibrations. And what does that mean? So if we're working with the universal laws of the universe, when you are able to be a clear channel and you're able to stay more positive, really reframe any thoughts that you could be having about yourself, really carry yourself in a more empowered and confident way, you are going to attract more of what you want, because you're going to go for more of what you want. You're going to take the action towards more of what you want. And that's what this course will help you do. It's going to help you uncover those subconscious blocks and help you rewrite them so you can start on your journey to attracting more of what you want. So the amazing part about this is that you can get 15% off this course. It's already super cheap for $147 US, but you can get 15% off with the coupon code FITE podcast. So again, that is going to be at the link in my show notes, FITE podcast coupon code to get 15% off. And I can't wait to see all your guys' amazing results. Make sure you go in the comments and talk to me in the comments, because I love reading those and I can't wait to see what you come up with. So today I'm coming at you with a very Jillosophy, whatever the fuck it is, with your half-assed energy. So this is something that came to my mind when I send really long fucking voice notes. Like when you are my client on Voxer, like just get ready, because I literally send the longest voice notes, because sometimes I just get on a roll and I'll be like, you know what, this person needs to fucking hear this. I also am not a big fan of like call out culture. That's just, I like to lovingly call out my clients, like lovingly support them and be like, listen, this is what I'm observing. How is it happening for you? Because a lot of the time we can't see past our own bullshit. A lot of the time we cannot see what we're actually doing that is sabotaging us. And even if we think we are, because that's the ego swooping in and saying, you know what, I don't need this mindset coach. I already have myself on lock. I'm already good. But oh my God, you have no idea how many people have been on calls with me, like have literally booked a call with me, like a clarity call or a sales call or whatever, been like, yeah, no, like I'm good. Like I'm good with all the mindset stuff. It's like, then why the fuck did you book this call? And usually it's because of mindset shit. But the ego wants to tell us that we know how to handle our own stuff. The ego, and I mean society as well, right? Like society tells us that if you seek help, there's something wrong with you. And I feel like that's also super rooted in codependency and feeling like it's a bad thing. But if you've read Attached, I forget the author's name, but if you've read Attached, it's all about the attachment theory that was originally, I want to say John Bowlby, but he did a research study with regards to infants, and it was a long time ago. This is super unethical, by the way, that's why it was like a study from so long ago. But essentially, when infants did not get the emotional support, when they made these infants independent, they actually, I think some of them ended up actually dying, proving that yes, independence and autonomy is very, very important. However, we need that emotional support in order to feel love and feel supported and feel a part of the pack. And this study really helped us see that codependency is not always a bad thing. Codependency in a healthy way is actually super good for you. So if your ego is telling you like, I don't need to do this, blah, 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 you maybe need to take a step back and think like, but where could I be if somebody was guiding me on this journey? Where could I be if somebody was helping me through whatever I've been experiencing? And that is usually what leads people to book the call with me. And sometimes when they get on it, they start to panic or think like, okay, like maybe I don't need this, like feeling really scared about doing this deep inner work, which is why it's so great if you want to take a go at this, buy the course, because it's a super low risk investment instead of actually hiring a coach and going deep on those beliefs and the things that may be subconsciously holding you back that you don't even realize. But anyways, to bring it back to the whole point of this podcast is that half-ass energy that you are putting out. That's what I was saying. It's about that half-ass energy that you are putting out. And this came from a really long voice note that I sent to one of my clients, because first we have to understand why the brain leads with this half-ass energy. And what I mean by that is that you are usually thinking worst case scenario whenever you do anything. You are usually thinking to yourself, okay, well, if this client doesn't sign, then I'm going to do this, this, and this. Or if this launch doesn't go the way that I want, I'll just do this and this and this. And while that is great for you to be prepared, we have to remember that the energy that we are putting out is the energy that we are getting back. The law of correspondence, which is a universal law, really mandates that the energy that you are going to put out is what you're going to get. So if you are late to coaching calls, if you don't respect your coach's boundaries, etc., blah, blah, blah. However you do one thing is the way that you're going to do everything. And that's why it's so important to be in integrity with yourself. So when it comes to this half-ass energy, if you are putting out the energy of this isn't going to work out and I'm going to get ready for when it doesn't, that is what you're putting out. And that's usually what you're prepared for and what you're looking for. And this is something that's so natural to us because as a very primal brain, that very lizard-like part of our brain, which is still so primal, like living in like the caveman days, we are programmed to look for danger. And if we don't look for danger, we're afraid that we're vulnerable and that we're going to get hurt. And that's why a lot of the time you are thinking of worst case scenario. You're thinking about, okay, well, if this doesn't happen for me, I have to think about the future and how I can continue to be protected. So therefore, I'm going to worry or have anxiety about something. So at least I am focusing on it so I don't get hurt. Because essentially at the end of the day, we're all trying to not hurt our own feelings. We're all trying to do the best that we can to avoid feeling bad or to avoid something that we would see as like catastrophic. So there's so many exercises. One that's particularly coming to mind is like specifically one that Julie and I got from one of our coaches with regards to like you like draw a tree and you draw the branches and you basically write on each of the branches what you would be able to rely on if something didn't go the way you wanted it to. So this one client that Julia and I had wanted to leave her job, but like she was so worried about like her mortgage and her car and all that shit. And we literally did this tree in terms of being like, these are all the things that are going to catch you or that could happen or that could support you before you ended up homeless on the street. And there are actually so many things that we do this with in terms of thinking that we're immediately going to be homeless on the street if a launch doesn't go the way that we want it to. You may not consciously be thinking, I'm going to be homeless on the street, but that's where your brain goes. Your brain goes to that worst case scenario without you even realizing it within the span of 2.3 seconds, because that is what it's programmed to do. And the reason why I call this half-ass energy is when you start to put that out, especially when it comes to your business, you're making decisions from a place of if this works out instead of this is going to work out no matter what. And I was supporting a client through Voxer, and one of the things that I was saying to her was a lot of the energy around what she was talking about was all about how, well, if this package doesn't work out or if this program doesn't go the way that I want it to, then I'm just going to do this or I'm just going to do that. She was putting a lot of energy into if this is going to work out instead of the fact that it was going to work out and she was just going to move her decisions around it until it works out. I have always come from a place of I am going to keep doing this until it fucking works out. Like no matter what it is, no matter what happens, I always have a really positive outlook on whatever it is, whether that's a launch or whether that's a program that I'm selling, or whether it's a course that I'm selling, whatever. There is no such thing as worst case scenario for me because I don't even entertain it. I have positive expectancy about what is going to work out. And if I do that, that is where my energy is pointed towards. It's pointed towards when this works out. It's pointing towards when I am going to land this client or when I'm going to do this and when I'm going to do that. Any type of failure is just a redirection. The important thing is that like we're not focusing on the failure. We have to actively retrain our brains to focus on when this works out, because that energy is going to be put into creating more opportunities for you to take action on. That type of energy encourages more inspired thought for you to think about all the ways in which things could work out. One of the greatest exercises that I love doing and that I also tell my clients to do while they're launching is to write out like 30 to 50 things that is so great about their program or so many amazing things that they can think of happening. We are so used to thinking when this doesn't work out or if this doesn't work out that it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you are focused on if this doesn't work out, that worst case scenario, which honestly, if you think about like your parents or think about anyone in your life, we are always preparing for the worst. When we focus on that, that is what we are giving our energy to. You are focusing on, okay, well, let's think of all the ways in which this could go wrong, instead of thinking about all the ways in which something could go right. Because when you do that, you are opening up your subconscious to the possibilities and the opportunities that you may not have seen before because your energy has never been focused on the positive outcomes or the amazing things you could be doing. So let's take a launch, for example. If you are spending the whole launch thinking, if I don't get this number of people, then I'm going to do this. Or if this doesn't work out, then I'm going to do that. That is what you're thinking about. You're putting your energy into the actions that you need to take. If this doesn't work out, you're already fulfilling that for yourself. Confirmation bias here, people. When you are looking for something, you are going to find that something because that's what you're looking for. And instead, we want to flip the script on ourselves and we want to think when this works out, when this turns out exactly how I want it to. What are all the ways in which this could go right? What amazing things could come because of this? This or something better is one of my favorite affirmations because whatever I want to achieve is going to be amazing, but if something better comes along, I'm not going to reject it. I'm going to be open to the possibilities and the opportunities that may come my way, but I can't do that if I am focusing my brain and that reticular activating system that we've talked about before. Whatever you put your attention on is what is going to be in front of your face. So instead, I'm focused on the good possibilities and the good outcomes instead of thinking about the bad ones. And this doesn't mean that you can't be prepared. This doesn't mean that you can't have thoughts about if this doesn't work out the way I want it to, especially when it comes to a launch. If it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to, that is fine. You can always redirect your efforts. You can always rectify it. It's not the end of the world. But having this type of more positive energy will allow you to have the motivation to move forward, to be able to see yourself in a more resilient light, to keep going. Because instead, if you're thinking about all the things that could go wrong, and then you get to the end of your launch and it didn't go the way you wanted to, that can really make you feel like what you're doing isn't what you're supposed to be doing, that you're not on the right path. And then you may end up taking actions that are self-sabotaging, like not showing up or deciding to quit your business or what have you. So let's not do with this half-ass energy anymore. Let's go forward and retrain our brains in order to see the good and see the possibilities for whatever outcome you're desiring and see how different everything looks. And I just want you to think of this like planting a flower. So when you plant something, you are certain that it's going to bloom. There is no thought in your mind. It's kind of like, the sun will come up tomorrow. You are certain that the sun is going to come up tomorrow. And that's how certain you need to be about your success. So when you are planting a flower, you know it's going to bloom, so you're patient. You know it's going to bloom, so you give it everything it needs to thrive, to succeed. You're not sitting there thinking, okay, flower, well, if you're gonna bloom, but if you're not, then we're gonna have to plant another bush, or we're going to have to do this, or I'm just going to rip you out of the ground and we're just going to quit. You're not thinking that. You're patient. You're expecting the best, and you give it everything it needs to bloom, and then it does. And even if it takes some time, even if it doesn't seem like it's going to work out exactly the way you want it to, focus on the fact that your success is inevitable, that whatever you do is just feeding that flower in order to bloom, and it will bloom in its own divine timing and when it's supposed to and when things are supposed to happen. But talking badly to it or trying to do worst case scenario or having anxiety or worrying about it isn't going to make it bloom any faster. It's not going to make things happen any faster, and it's not going to encourage you to continue nurturing this flower. It's just going to make things worse, bring down your vibe, make you feel like you're not on the right path, etc. So whenever you're thinking about an outcome that you want to create or want to manifest or whatever, and your brain immediately wants to go to self-sabotaging / worst case scenario mode, remember that what if I expected the best? What if I saw all the opportunities around me to make this the best program ever, the best launch ever? And see how different your energy is around positive expectancy instead of hoping for the worst or thinking that the worst is going to happen. And that's all. That's all she wrote, kids. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember that you can get 15% off the From Imposter to Empowered course with the coupon code FITE podcast at the link in my show notes. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Talk to you later. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast with me, Jillian Perrick. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram story. And don't forget to tag me at Your Coach Jill. Of course, I'd love for you to rate the podcast 5 stars and leave a review. And if you screenshot your review and send it to me at Your Coach Jill on Instagram, I'll send you a free gift. At the very least, make sure you follow me on Instagram, again at Your Coach Jill, for tons of free content, strategies, and inspo. See you next time.